Welcome back. I have not done a panic index in a while. Now, I've spent the last 20 minutes trying to figure out, okay, so do I do it this way? Do I do it this way? And now I've just decided to do it the way that I've always done it. Because, again, the thing with the panic index is don't overthink it. If you're overthinking it, you're going to struggle with it. So the idea is simple. Some teams are very happy with where they're at right now. Some teams are very panicked. And by teams, I could mean media, fans as well. And over here, I've picked a Minnesota Timberwolves logo. What does that mean? It means you've kind of given up on this year and it's better luck next year. The Timberwolves, it was between them and the Sacramento Kings because it's kind of how that works. But the Kings are off to a decent start in the NBA. So I thought, I'll go with the Timberwolves, who are not off to a good start in the NBA. And remind Minnesota fans everywhere, they're not allowed to have nice things. So it's all 31 teams. I'll put them in various locations on the board as to where I feel they are between panic, happiness, or, well, we have next year. And I'm going alphabetical order as usual. Anaheim, I put them in the better luck next year category. Now, I know they're 5-5-3, and I know they're mathematically in this. But I think you look at their forward group, you look at their lack of scoring overall, and I don't think Ducks fans right now are looking at this team and saying, we're off to the playoffs. There's the opportunity for fourth place in that division. It's kind of widely accepted that St. Louis, Vegas, and Colorado will occupy the top three spots. So that fourth spot's kind of there. But for Anaheim, I don't think they're overly concerned. Arizona, the thing with Arizona is I kind of want to put them over here. But because of the amount of cap spending that goes on and all of that wonderful stuff, I'll put them right about here. I'll put them on the panic side, but just barely. They're kind of in the better luck next year category too. They're kind of sort of there as well. But for Arizona, it's kind of been a mess, right? Boston, happy team. Happy media, happy team. Not putting them in the exceedingly happy. Notice I don't have on the board wait till the playoffs. Because again, I don't want to overcomplicate the first panic index of the 2021 season. So Boston I'm putting under the happy category. Buffalo, I'll put Buffalo right on the line. They're right on the line for me. Panic? Maybe. It depends on how the next couple of weeks go. The shutdown hasn't helped them feel better about things, I would imagine. And so we'll see how the team is coming out of the shutdown. Calgary. I'm going to put Calgary on this side of the board. And again, they're not like in full panic, but there are some concerning signs with Calgary. So they did win their last game. That's good news. And things look pretty good for them for the most part. However, their record hasn't been great, and they need to be faster out of the gate. They need to be better in first periods. So I have them on this side of the board because they do need to be better in first periods. Carolina, I'll put them right on par with Boston. Carolina fans likely very happy with the way things are going right now. They're 7-2. Things look pretty good. Shouldn't have a problem making the playoffs, and then it's a matter of what you do when you get there, right? Chicago. Chicago fans, I'll put them on this side of the line right here. Chicago was supposed to be bad, and out of the gate, they looked terrible. First few games of the season, they were awful. And then they're not. They're playing better. Their goaltending has improved. Their overall team has got better. Now, if we see Taves make a comeback, that could be a huge boon for them. And yeah, considering they're without Doc and Taves, this has been a pretty good little run they've been on. And yeah, if you're a Chicago fan and you're like, I think I feel good right now, you should. You should. The team is relevant right now. And they weren't expected to be relevant already by a month into the season. Colorado, I'll put in the happy side of things, a little bit below Boston and Carolina. The shutdown as a result of whatever exposures may have happened in the Minnesota game, those are concerning. And the injuries are concerning. But I think overall, you look at the record, fans are going to be pretty happy with where they're at. I don't think there's going to be a lot of concern. Columbus, I'm going to put them on the downside here. For Columbus, it's been an underwhelming start. The goaltending numbers haven't been fantastic. Now 2 of their goaltenders are hurt, and it's been a slow start for Seth Jones. Now Werenski's hurt. There's a lot of reasons to be concerned if you're Columbus right now, and the fact that you've got a video coordinator screwing you out of a game as well, that probably doesn't help. Dallas, I'll put Dallas basically equivalent to Colorado. Dallas has got to be pretty happy about the way things are going. I know they lost yesterday against Chicago, but they still have to be pretty happy with where they're at right now, considering the injuries to Sagan and Bishop. They've been without Kiviranta for a while. They missed Ben for a bunch of games. So Dallas dealing with a lot of the same situations as other teams. They're 5-2-2 right now, and I think they'd be pretty happy with where they're at. Detroit. Detroit is definitely in this Minnesota Timberwolves next year category. Detroit fans, I don't think we're expecting playoffs. I think the fact that, they win yesterday against Florida, it's good. It's good to see that the team's got some heart, the team makes the effort, and that they're not just mailing it in. When you have a team that's just mailing it in, it can get frustrating, trust me, but we'll get to them. Edmonton, for Edmonton, I'm going to put them in the middle, and here's why. They are below 500. They're 6-7, but you get the feeling that McDavid and Draisaitl, the other guy, McDavid and Draisaitl playing really, really well out of the gate. Now they've got Mike Smith back. This could turn into a pretty happy fan base pretty darn quickly. So I have them right in the middle. I don't think there's any panic right now. I don't think there necessarily has to be. Odds are there's going to be a team with a semi-mediocre record in fourth place in the North that makes the playoffs. And then who knows what happens once you get to the playoffs. There's just no telling how that might turn out. So for the Oilers, if they end up securing fourth place, who knows? Maybe they go on a bit of a run. Florida's pretty happy. I'll put them with Boston and Carolina right here. Notice I'm reserving this space here for the really happy fan bases right now. Florida got to be pretty happy. Now the loss against Detroit's concerning. The fact they've had kind of a soft schedule so far also concerning, but at least they're winning games. Right now, Florida looks like they could very well end their drought of making it into the playoffs. Now, if they can end their drought of losing in the first round, that'd be even better. Kings are already into next year territory. What I thought was interesting was right out of the gate with the LA Kings that they took Byfield and they took Turcotte. They took some of the better young players and they just sent them down. They said, no, we're going to send you down. I think the Kings knew, I think Rob Blake knew this was going to be another challenging year, and he wanted to shield the kids from it. Give them a chance to develop, and the best place for them to develop this year wasn't in the National Hockey League with the Kings. So right now it looks like it was a smart move. Kings very unlikely to make the playoffs, even this soon into the playoffs, or into the regular season, but I don't think they were overly concerned anyways. Minnesota, I'm going to put Minnesota right here with Chicago, sort of at that same level. I think there's some reason for optimism if you're Minnesota right now. Also some concern, and any team that right now is going through protocols and aren't playing their games, there has to be a level of concern. But you look at other teams that have come out of this, like Dallas, like Carolina, Vegas, it doesn't necessarily negatively impact the team going forward. And so we'll see if Minnesota ends up higher up the next time I do this. Montreal, there's the really happy fan base right now. Montreal fans, and I know they lost to Ottawa a couple games ago. That's not a concern, I would think. Montreal's record's fantastic. Habs fans should be rightfully happy about where they're at. And I understand where people are coming from when they say, well, the Canadian teams playing against each other is nice, but the real contenders are south of the border. That may very well be true, but it doesn't mean that the games north of the border aren't tremendously entertaining, and you're still going to end up with a pretty good team coming out of the north in the playoffs for that Final Four, and that could be awesome. And the awesome part with that, too, is then we see teams play each other that haven't played each other all season. I think that's just going to be great. Nashville. I'll go ahead and put them below Columbus, actually. Look, they're spending a lot of money on Duchesne and Johansson, and they're not getting the return. Rene's getting older still, and that's how time works. And so for Nashville, there are some concerns. There has to be. And if this team ends up missing the playoffs in the Central, I don't know what you do. I don't know if we reach a point where maybe David Poile ends up out of work. Maybe, and it's unthinkable, as recently as a couple seasons ago, but maybe that ends up happening. Or maybe you go the route of doing some kind of a retool / rebuild. We'll see. New Jersey, I'll put New Jersey right on the line here with the Oilers and with Buffalo. Again, the outbreak. There's 16 players currently on protocols. That's why I don't report on every player that's on protocols, because it's a lot, and it doesn't necessarily mean a player's tested positive. It may mean they've been exposed. It may mean other things that could end up with them on that list, and it's part of reality right now for the Devils. Their record wasn't too bad. But again, we'll see coming out of this how their record looks going forward. The New York Islanders, I'm going to put them down here with Columbus. The regression from New York has been alarming, but the lack of offense has really been alarming. The Islanders, not a team that's ever been like one of the big scorers, but the low goal scoring has to be somewhat alarming right now, and we'll see whether or not they can turn that around. There's still plenty of time to do so. And tonight they're against the Rangers. The Rangers, on the other hand, I think the Rangers have gone to the line. The Rangers, for me, have gone to the line because of the back-to-back wins after they parted ways with Tony DeAngelo. And you could see that the team, it definitely seems to have helped the team dynamic. That just is immediately apparent. And so the Rangers, to me, they're not in a position right now where they're a playoff team, but they're also not in a position where you're saying, oh, nope, they're dead and buried. So I think the Rangers are in pretty good shape. Ottawa's already right here below Timberwolves. Now, while good luck next season may have been the idea the whole way along, I think what may be alarming Sens fans a little bit and may have them leaning towards the panic side of it, is that they haven't taken a step forward this year, that they've taken a step back. So that may be a bit concerning for Ottawa fans. But again, they weren't favored to be in the playoffs this year anyways. I remember before the season started, I said it's too bad the divisions got reformatted the way they did, because I thought it was really tough for Ottawa. I thought Ottawa was potentially going to be able to be better than Detroit, and I thought they might be able to challenge Buffalo for 6th, at least at some point. And once they did the revamped divisions, I didn't see a way they would finish any above 7th. I just didn't see anybody that they beat. But, again, better luck next year. Philadelphia, I'm going to put them right here. I think Philadelphia, I think there's been some excitement here and there. I think yesterday's game against Washington likely keeps them in this area. I want to put them up here, but I still think there's some concerns if you're a Philadelphia fan right now. And so I'm going to leave them here. Pittsburgh, there has to be, at least on some level, a little bit of concern with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been very inconsistent, and it does look like Sidney Crosby's numbers have come down a bit, which would be fine if you had somebody coming up to make up for that. Malkin's numbers are down. Again, if you had young players coming up who look like they would be able to replace the old guard, that would be okay. But Pittsburgh doesn't really have that right now. So, yeah, for me, I have Pittsburgh just below. I mean, it's not full-on panic, but I think there's got to at least be some concern. And, of course, with Jim Rutherford being out, we'll see what happens when they name their new GM and how he does. San Jose, there has to be panic with San Jose. San Jose, they were supposed to, bounce back a bit this year. The goaltending numbers have remained poor. The defensive numbers have remained poor. The overall results have been middling, and they're middling against teams that they need to beat because, as I've talked about, the Western Division has a very seemingly structured hierarchy. You have the top 3, and then you're probably going to have a couple fighting for 4th place, and you have 3 below that. And San Jose doesn't want to be in those ones below that because they're not in a position where they can just embrace a rebuild right now, not with the amount of money they're spending, especially on the blue line. St. Louis, I think St. Louis is pretty happy with things overall. I know that the 6 games in a row against Arizona may get a bit tiresome. And Arizona, took a couple off of them, so I don't have St. Louis up in this region. But yeah, St. Louis, I think, has good reason to be pretty happy about things. Tampa should be very happy. There's no reason for Tampa Bay Lightning fans to have any concern. As of yet, they're 7-1-1. They're firing on all cylinders. Everything's going pretty well for them. So yeah, Tampa Bay defending Stanley Cup champions, trying to win it 2 years in a row. We'll see if they can get her done. Toronto, I'm going to put them right here. I would have them here, but the injury to Simmons, we'll see. Simmons was starting to put it together. Not just the 5 goals either. It's his ability to block in front of the net. It's everything he does. The odd fight here and there. He's providing that kind of veteran leadership that they've needed in the bottom 6. And now he's in a top 6 role until he ends up being injured for 6 weeks. So I have Toronto here. We'll see if they remain there or end up higher on the next panic index. I keep wanting to say power rankings, but it's panic index, which again shouldn't require nearly as much explanation or thinking it over. Vancouver's here. The Canucks logo, if they lose many more games, do not be surprised in reviews if I substitute their logo with this. The fan base is done. It's just done. And I don't know how else to describe it. And if you're going to say, well, wait, are they done with Benning? Yeah. Are they done with Green? Uh-huh. Are they done with the players on the ice? A lot of them, yeah. This is a nightmarish beginning for Vancouver. Those 3 wins in a row against Ottawa, completely forgotten. And outside of those 3 wins against Ottawa, they're 3-9. So this has been a disaster. And I can't put Vancouver over here because the expectations were much higher for them this year. Much like San Jose, I don't have over here. The expectations were for some sort of a bounce back for San Jose. Vegas? Vegas is pretty happy. So just go ahead and just cram Vegas into that spot there because Vegas fans have every right to be happy and cocky because of the division they're in. And yeah, there's no reason really to panic with Vegas at all. It's just full steam ahead. Washington, I'm going to put Washington here. I'm going to put them a little bit ahead of Philadelphia. I think things are still pretty good. If I'd done this 2 weeks ago, Washington would be up here. But now that they've started taking regulation losses, there's got to be at least some level of concern. But again, I have them on the positive side. They're still on the positive side of this line, and I don't see that changing necessarily. Washington, I kind of always count on to make the playoffs. And of course, we end with Winnipeg. Winnipeg, I'm going to throw them right here. Because Winnipeg, 7-3-1. Very good start to the season. And they have games coming up with Vancouver. I would expect them to avenge the loss they had against Vancouver. I would think that Vancouver may regret winning that game over Winnipeg after the next, they got 7 more games against Winnipeg? Yeah. So there's 4 teams on this side here underneath Timberwolves. And notice those are 4 teams that did not make the play-in round last summer. So, yeah, I mean, there really hasn't been a huge shift, which is, to me, kind of odd considering just how much time has passed since the pause. Almost a full year, and yet we seem to still see a lot of the same teams at or near the bottom. But we'll see how long that lasts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your right through. You just happened upon this video. And yeah, 18 minutes, and this was the simpler way of doing it. I had a whole complicated setup where I was ranking it, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. No, the panic index should never be overly difficult to figure out. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.